a state school up here in Queensland, so I'm over in the Ipswich sort of region. So what our students have been doing over the first 5 weeks has been working on curriculum and content that's preparing them for assessment for the second half of the term. So what my job is here is I'm the instrumental teacher for strings as well as the core teacher. My school's currently only year 7 to year 10, as we've only been open for 3 years. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully it will work perfectly. One of the things that the students, especially in year 10, need to do is to create a pop composition. So the parameters around that assessment was to create something in either a jazz, rock or a pop genre. And the start of this term, we focused a lot on things such as EDM, and we also did a bit of a study on hip hop music as well and a bit of R&B. The website that I directed the students to use, because we don't have a lot of access to any recording equipment here at school at the moment, we've been looking at a website called BandLab. So BandLab has an education website that's separate from the main one, and it's completely free for students and teachers to use. The way that it works is if you go to edu.bandlab.com, you can create your own school and you can create your own class in that. So when you go to create your students, or you create, like I have in my year 10 class, you can send the link out to the students directly and it will automatically register them in the class, or you can just put the screen up on the interactive whiteboard and the students can register it in the class as well. And that allows you to access whatever work that they have done. So if a student's away, you don't have to worry about having to download it. You can also create assignments in there. So the students, I just said to them, this is where you're going to be recording your assessment for music. And you can put parameters in there, upload task sheets and everything. You can also do class activities, which has been really, really helpful for them. Now, as part of that, you get, as a teacher, your own personal library. So part of that is the first one, Miss Fry's Awesome Beats, was just me trying to be funny, and it didn't work very well. But what we did was I wanted to show them how they could create a really simple yet effective EDM song, or a song that doesn't require lyrics, because they were struggling with that. We'd started it before going on holidays and we've been working on lyrics since they've come back. But BandLab has this really cool feature called loops. And basically how that works is that there's loop packs for different genres of music. So the students can just go, I want to create, you know, a trap song, which is what I've done here. And they can find different loops for bass, keyboard, their own beats. They can create their own drum line themselves behind that, or they can record just using the computer, so they don't even need a MIDI keyboard. So I'll just play you a really simple one that I came up with just purely using loops in 2 different trap genres. You can kind of see it's a pretty simple process the way it works. But I'm going to show you how we've gone about. That was the example that I gave to the students. And yesterday in class was their first time actually creating their own piece using this software. So what they do is they go into the mix editor. Now the students get the option to either create an arrangement of an existing song. And we thought, given the current situation with COVID-19, they could write a parody arrangement and change some of the instruments in there, or they could change the genre of music, so from a punk song to maybe an R&B song. So what we did was go about teaching them how to set up a track. So they have different options with this. They can plug directly in with a microphone if you have an audio interface, same for your guitar and your bass. You can also record really quite clearly, depending on the headphones you have. Headphones like what I'm wearing, you get a pretty clear sound coming through. If you're wanting to record just using your keyboard though, on your computer, you can just go to the instrument, and it actually has down here on this piano, you can see that it assigns a key on your computer keyboard, and you can just play through using that. So even with using chords, I just hit my 3 keys at the same time. So it's been really beneficial for our students just because they don't have that access to, MIDI keyboards at the moment. We have shared computer labs around the school, and it's really difficult to move equipment down 2-3 flights of stairs. And the good thing that we've also found with using this software is that you can change the type of instrument as well. So I can use the same thing. I could go to a drum pad and it will assign keys for me, saves me having to click the mouse multiple times. Now, for the other students who are writing a parody arrangement, some of them have gone and downloaded an audio or a karaoke track for that. And they wanted to know about how could they insert that karaoke track and then put in their own beat behind it. So what they can do is they can easily click on this menu here. And what we've done is I've exported this WAV file already and it just inserts it for me. So this one is pre-done just piano. The student is able to put their own voice over the top of that. And then if they wanted to try the beat, this is already set at 120 beats a minute. I can go in with my loops and I can go to all loops and it actually tells me down the side exactly how fast it is. So I can just go through, find a beat. Okay, I don't want to specify what genre it's in, but I can actually just go through and search, okay, what's at 120 beats, listen to it. If I think it's going to sound good, I can just drag it in and drop. And then the way it works is you just drag it across the screen. And if I want it to continue on because I like how it sounds, I can actually just drag it across and it will insert it all for me without me having to cut and paste or copy and paste multiple times. And the students just, what they do is they get into their track for their voice and they just hit record and record their vocals over the top. It also allows the students to put notes in there. So if they're working or they're struggling on a part of their composition, I'm able to actually, when I access their work, I can jump in and see, okay, what lyrics have they come up with so far and what parts are they struggling with? So it's a lot more interactive and I can leave comments for them on their software and they can just access that straight away when they log in. It'll come up and show them what they've been working on. So that's how we've been using BandLab for our year 9 and 10 students mostly. Our year 7 and 8 students are doing percussion compositions and that's been done. We've been using booklets for our students that have been learning at home. And I'll just pull it up. What we did was we gave them some really strict rules on how to compose using handwritten techniques. So we've been looking at drawing it up on a page and we gave them a sheet today with them pre-drawn. And then getting them for their responding is to go through and critically reflect on the work that they have been doing. And going, okay, so what sounds really good? What part are we seeing that needs a bit more work? Okay, and then if they need help, what are they going to do about getting help? And what is it that they need help with particularly? And we've given them their dynamic markings here. We've given them some experiments, so using everyday speech to teach dynamics as well. So we're not reliant solely on students understanding that forte means loud. It could also be shouting as well, because our students haven't got a very strong background in music before coming to here. And then we gave them their performance piece as well, which we wrote, and we've been going through in class and playing that for them. And we just used MuseScore, which is a free notation software program, to write that up. And we have an audio track that we can distribute to the students as well. And that is me done. There you go.
Thanks, Sarah. I was just thinking about the way you were using BandLab. How did you have students using BandLab at home?
We did. So we had about 50% of our students have access to technology at home. The other 50% didn't. So when students were learning at home, we had to do a paper booklet that we could share and the kids could complete online. So what I did up was a PowerPoint screen recording tutorial of how to set up your own score. And some of the students did it outside. They did it on the full website and not the Edu BandLab. And the issue with that was that they can't actually share that with me because it's different. It's run by essentially 2 different partitions in the same company.
Because that was going to be my next question, was how did you actually teach the students how to use the software? Was it sort of a dive in and just go for it, or did you sort of make tutorial videos and step that out for them?
So we started with I had one student who before the holidays wanted to have a go because he wanted to write an EDM song and thought he would be the next Skrillex, so he didn't have to have lyrics. So I said, all right, dive in, jump, have a play with the loops. And I just really quickly showed him, where to find all the loops he wants. And he just mixed something together in about 15 minutes, which was really cool. And then for the other students during that first 5 weeks, I made a couple of, tutorial videos on how to set it up. And a lot of it was screen recording and then me talking over the top of it of, okay, if I want to play a chord in BandLab, I just need to hit these 3 keys and hold it down for the length. So if I want for 4 beats, I just hold it down for 4 and then I move to the next notes from the keyboard.
And can they interact with each other? Like, can they see each other? Can they share to each other, or do they just share with you?
They mostly just share with me. I haven't had a long history with BandLab. I only started using it probably middle of last year. But as far as I know, the students can only share it with the teacher.
Right.
But what they can do, if they were to use the full website, so if you would prefer that they use bandlab.com instead, the students can actually share it globally. So they can actually put comments on other people's work. So, and a lot of that is in mix editors as well as WAV or MP3 files.
Mm-hmm. So they can share, they can export and share finished things.
Exactly.
Right, cool. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Anybody else have questions for Sarah? Thanks, Jeanette.
Does it work on all platforms, Mac, PC, yeah. iPads?
So it's a bit funny with iPads. You can get it on there. It's also a phone app, so you can record on your phone, which is really cool. The drum pads that you can get on your phone, I found were really, really handy, especially for doing percussion beats. Everyone thinks they're the next DJ. So the students were really engaged in that, and it's handy if we can't access a computer lab, that we can come up with something for our background. You can save it on your phone app, and it should, in theory, save to the full website, which you can export and then just drag across into your student profile.
So that's really good that you don't have to have them upload anywhere else, which is one of the things that we found, actually getting them to upload and finding a file type that they didn't think they had, but they actually did, but they, thought it was easy, but they didn't think it was easier, and actually getting it in a format to give them feedback.
Yeah. So I've gone through, it can at times, if you've got, say, 50 or 60 people with multiple classes running at the same time, it can get clogged, a bit cloggy and really quite hard. It does take a little bit of time when you first log in for all the audio patches and all the plugins to be there, and it will take maybe 2 minutes for it to all load. But then once you're in, it's fairly self-explanatory and it's pretty cruisy, and there shouldn't be too much lag.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I think that's a really good point, Jeanette, that you can almost look at their work in progress, but and see how much each student's done. Whether if they've done nothing, you'll be able to check and see what they've done, rather than actually waiting for them to, whether they've done it and not shared it. Which, I mean, all of this stuff was really relevant when people were learning at home, but still has a place, still has value when they're back at school as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the stuff that we've done online that we've never thought of. I don't know about other people, but there's stuff that I'm going to keep that I thought, why didn't I actually do it like this before? Like that constant checking of what they're doing, and when you can't extract stuff out of them, if it's there, that's just so good.
Yeah, so the only thing that is a little bit of a downfall is the students have to remember to save it. So once you've saved it the first time, it is supposed to automatically save every 5 to 10 minutes, but that doesn't always happen, especially if the students are mid-inserting a loop. It can disrupt it. So you just got to remind them to save their file before they exit, otherwise they'll lose everything that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I'm just in it now, Sarah. So do you have to set an assignment for them, or can they just go in and free?
They can just go and have a ball. So if you were to go in, I'll just share my
personal projects or something like that, is
yeah,
it?
so they go
That's
to
it?
their personal projects. For us, we just call it our library. And then once you're in your library,
Oh, yeah, it's doing it now.
yeah, it'll load, and you'll see that there's a load bar coming up for that.
Yeah. It's very like GarageBand, actually.
Yeah, it's very similar to GarageBand. The really good thing that I really enjoyed about it as well is that there's an effects section. I'll just quickly share that again. Is down here that there's an effects panel, and I can put in different, if I wanted to have a studio reverb in there, I can put that in. Okay, I can click what I want, and I can actually go, all right, I want, where's my studio reverb? Here. I can actually fix that myself. So it's got that little bit more in-depth stuff there, which I haven't personally gone through with my students yet because they're just in the experimental stages of learning how to use the software. But there's your editor there as well. So if you need to change a pitch, you can do that. You can change, if you did want to use a specific loop, such as this one, and say I wanted it at 100 beats per minute rather than 120, I can also slow it down just that little bit. But the tricky thing is with this, if you're not 100% certain on how to do that, you can accidentally change how fast you want all of the tracks to be. So it has really good things to use, but some of the students, what they find hard is if they'll highlight up the top here, for example, when they go to record, it's only going to record up to there, and then it's going to go back to the start and re-record stuff. So it's just a case of making sure when they're up to recording, that they don't have that in like a bright red, because they obviously will just keep recording over their own stuff, which I have had a couple of students lose their own work because they've done it by accident and not realized that that's been happening as well.
It's very similar to Soundtrap. We've got Soundtrap school licenses. We've had that, now we're in our second year of using that. Very similar functionality. And certainly setting things up on assignment means that you've got access already to what the kids are doing. It's really, really good. Yep.
And the main difference between Soundtrap and BandLab, I know I haven't explored either extensively, but BandLab's free.
Yeah.
And I loved Soundtrap. I've just done a trial of it, but I can't. I've got 150 students in a course. I can't justify.
Yeah, we're not that big yet, and we're on Soundtrack for the moment. But knowing now that, because the little taste that I'd had of BandLab, and that's now 2 years ago. I don't know if they had their education. I don't know how new the education bit is.
No, it's only about 3 years old.
Yeah, and so I wasn't there then. Yeah.
The other good thing that they've been doing in the wake of all of the at-home learning is they've started doing lesson plans as well. So you'll occasionally get an email from them, and they'll say, oh, okay, if you want to get the students to do this, and there's step-by-step instructions. So any teacher can contribute to that. You just got to email their webmaster, and they'll put it in a nice little format for you and send that out to other staff or to other teachers.
Cool. It might be something to look at. We might change.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sarah. I'm now playing in BandLab and getting distracted just to see what I can do. But thank you for that. That's been really helpful just to sort of get a little bit of a taster of what the software can do.